everybody to this webinar about leadership. And I recall that when Janet and I started to think about this webinar and how to prepare it, yes, we agree that it is a good thing to offer definitions and some concepts about leadership, but perhaps more important is to explore the leadership as a social process. And so in the next 30 minutes I will try to shed light on the main definitions, but perhaps more importantly I will try to show how these concepts can be applied in practice and using a number of well-known models related to, for instance, team building or communication or motivation and so forth. So when we start investigating leadership, we realize that there is a huge amount of research, and the literature is really vast. And what research tried in the beginning to find about leadership was to identify the features of the character of leaders, what made leaders effective. And this was a description of what leaders do, but with little explanatory power. And this is the same for behaviors. There is something leaders do. It's a quality that some people seem to possess, but not others. But again, we prefer to think in terms of social process, not just as an attribute of an individual. And the social process is to make sense, to have people make sense of complexity and to see where they are and where they are going, or where somebody is leading them, where somebody is driving them. So the big difference between leadership and management is not the fact that being a process, because both leadership and management are processes. But in this slide, I wanted to use this metaphor of the sound mixer. Management as a process of organizing resources, people, and deliver results made of tools and control means. But leadership is, for leadership, I want to use this metaphor of the map and this ability to see in the distance and give people a sense of direction. And because you show people direction, you gain their commitment. And now, because it's a process, and it's not just one person that exercises leadership. Because it's a social process, we can accept that people at all levels of organizations engage in this social process, in this exchange. And the other point is, it's not a one-off exercise. It happens at different times, and we will say now that leadership is a kind of negotiation, and negotiations happen every day. And so this is a bottom-up approach, as opposed to top-down, where leaders are only those in positions of leadership because they have formal authority. And this is another point. One thing is authority, and another thing is leadership. So if we accept that it's a social process where we negotiate social order, we also have to accept that because of this this human dimension, many things happen tacitly. It's not always easy for the leader or for everybody to understand what's going on and where this negotiation is going, which kind of outcomes will be out of this negotiation. And this is one of the main skills that leaders need. The problem is that it's not enough to offer direction. this direction has to be accepted. So those who are able to influence most in the course of negotiation, these people are those who do so most consistently and come to the expected results, and they are perceived to do so. Everybody see that these people, these leaders in the negotiation, they are able to clarify the direction and to explain why it is important to go in that direction, not in the other. So to do so, you have to understand what are the values and the priorities, the interests of various stakeholders, and try to reconcile them, these sometimes conflicting interests, and to influence them in order to steer the organization in the direction you want. And if we accept all these ideas about social process and stuff, we see that formal authority is not enough to be a leader. I tried here to summarize, and I used a couple of academic models here, 5 main aspects of leaders. First is to identify who are the key stakeholders, and perhaps more to the point, why they are in a strong position, and what is their agenda, what they are after, and how powerful they are. This is crucial in negotiation. And also learn about power factors in context, because power is contextual, is based on beliefs, and it is never just one-sided. So power factors a leader should be aware of are, for instance, information, control of resources, social connection, and so forth. So try to find out who is in a position of power, and when and how these positions of power how power can shift from one person to the other. And this is also useful in this negotiation, and sense when tacit negotiation is happening, and what kind of social order is this negotiation leading to. And about the 4th point, be empathic, because being empathic enable the leader to understand how it look like, how something looks like to the people you are trying to lead. So there is no leadership without deep understanding of how it looks like to others. And I will come back to this very point when I will talk about genuine consideration, individual consideration for others. And the 4th point is about networking. Networking is absolutely crucial to understand what matters to others. If you understand what does matter to them, then you can prepare the ground for commitment. And this is also very important in motivation, when we have to accept that motivation factors can be very different from one person to the other. And as a leader, you have to understand this and be highly empathic. So,
Carlo, can I ask a quick question? Sure. Sorry to break in here. I'm very interested in your concept about the power shifting. Is there a way you could spot power shifting in a sort of office political environment?
Yeah, I think so. Most of these, in an organization, of course, there are roles and there are positions of authority. So most of this power shift is tacit. And if I can, even between organizations, sometimes you have this kind of mechanism. I would like to make an example. In this at this very moment, there is a big debate within the European institutions about this, what they call the Juncker plan, to try to encourage investment in Europe. And there is a huge discussion between the European Investment Bank and the European Commission about how to handle this. And you can see there that the European Commission has a power, as a formal power, because in the European Union, the European Commission has the power to propose legislation to the European Parliament, but actually, without the European Investment Bank, they can't do much because the bank is providing the guarantees for this to happen. And if you look at the exchange of emails or at the video conferences they are having at the moment, it looks like power is on the European Commission side. But there are hints from which you can understand that actually sometimes this power given by authority is built on sand, because somebody else or another organization ultimately has the power to make it happen or not. I don't know if Janet, if I asked.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Carlo. Yes, that's very interesting. I'll let you carry on now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet. So about leadership as we talked about leadership as a way to give direction, and if I can use this wonderful thing here, yeah. I'm trying to show the metaphor of the map. So we were talking about giving direction and show how where we are going thanks to a deep understanding of others' values. And so if we start from this concept, we can say that leadership, in a way, is about managing meaning. As we said, for people to make sense of where we are and where we are going. But perhaps more importantly, we should be able to explain to people why we are here, and of course where are we going, but not just share the planning. Because this is project managers do this. Huh? They share, or they should, share planning with people, show deliverables, deadlines, and resources, Excel spreadsheet or Microsoft project, perfect. But do we tell them why we are going there? Do we tell them how our action contribute to the vision, to the mission of our organization? How what we do every day contributes to the purposes of our organization? So this is about providing meaning and direction. And if we have people understand where we are going, then it's much easier for them to make sense, and then they will feel compelled to go in the direction we want. And here we come to the definition, and this is a definition I love about leadership, that means being influential. So people want you to lead. They want to change their behavior in the direction you want because they understand why. And another point is planning. Plans are not there just because I introduced these points about project management and share planning. The purpose of planning is not necessarily to be right at any point in time, but is, from a leadership point of view, is to generate action and get people moving in a general direction. Then, of course, the leader, and especially if the leader is also a project manager, needs to be constantly alert to the need to adjust. Listen to feedback you get from the ground, or from the client, or from your people. And talking about clients, this leads me to the next point. it is not just what we do within the group, within our team, but also about what the leader does outside the group, to be a good ambassador, because this also builds this meaning, this sense of where we are and where we are going. And before I come to some practical applications of all this, I need to very, very quickly make a difference between transactional and transformational leadership. This is it's very important for what will follow. In transactional leadership, we can think as we are managing a contract. So you appeal another to self-interest, and you exchange rewards, and it works. It works very well as long as everybody sees that it is a win-win, and everybody has an interest in that. Transformational leadership is, I would say, perhaps a deeper way of they call it also charismatic leadership. It's about giving really this sense of direction for goals that go beyond what is in their immediate self-interest, and so it is about sharing these values, this vision, and because followers understand what it's all about, they feel compelled to follow, and this is very much about transformational, because you transform the way people think about the situation in which they are now. They see it in a different way. They see the way you want them to see, and we have to be very careful here, because normally the consideration I get at this point is manipulation. There is a risk for manipulation, and there are dark sides of transformational leadership. I will be back on this in a couple of minutes. So, if we want to summarize the characteristic of a transactional leader as opposite to transformational leader, perhaps somebody will recognize themselves or their boss. Transactional leader negotiates reward for efforts, so it's a contingent reward. And the transactional leader searches for deviation from rules and takes corrective action, or in other cases, just avoids making decisions. They just, kind of a wild delegation, laissez-faire, as French say. And as opposed to that transformational leaders provides a vision, this sense of mission, and gains respect and trust. They have charisma, and they communicate high expectations, and they use symbols, they use metaphors, but perhaps more importantly, they express important purposes in simple ways. And of course, intellectual stimulation. They, promote rationality and careful problem solving. They reward and praise those who put their mental energy into solving problems and contributing to these shared values and mission and vision. And the other point is individualized consideration, this genuine concern for others. They give personal attention, and they treat each employee individually. They coach, they advise. But it is absolutely important that this is not doing in a manipulative way. It is because only through individualized consideration I can understand people's values, what matters to them, what makes them feel motivated. I don't say motivate them. What creates the conditions for these people, for this person to feel motivated. And if I get there, the person will see why we are going in that direction, and it will just happen. And in this slide, there is a summary of the competencies of transformational leaders. We talk about managing attention, to make a vision meaningful to everybody. And you have to be able to capture the attention of each individual by knowing what matters to each of them. And management of meaning, of course, as we said, make ideas, that ideas make sense. And management of trust, so coherence, consistency, walk the talk. People have to trust leaders. And management of self. This is sometimes this is part of the dark side of transformational leadership, when leaders don't know their limits. They overdo it a bit. They fall in love with themselves, and sometimes this can be harmful. So thinking about transactional and transformational leadership, here I took the Tannenbaum and Schmidt model for management. We have on one side, on the left-hand side, the manager that makes decisions and just tells people what to do. So there is a substantial use of authority. And at the other extreme is the manager that delegates, that permits subordinates to work, to make their choices, to be free within certain limits. And so on the right-hand side of the chart, there is the maximum freedom for the team, for subordinates. Now, what I did in this model, I added this arrow. So why I did that? Because I was trying to think how this transactional versus transformational model of leadership applies to our daily work as managers. Because it's not that we are always the same at any point with everybody. With some people, we need to self-decision. Some people we just delegate. Or sometimes with the same person, depending on this particular situation, we have to change our managerial style. Perhaps because we are, I don't know, under a tight deadline or for whatever reason. So I was trying to show how to use transactional and transformational leadership in this wide range of choices we have as managers. Because the real point is, there is not just one right solution or just one right thing of being a leader. It depends. It depends on the individual person we have in front of us and the particular situation. So I hope this gives a kind of a range of choice to choose the leadership style. And I mentioned the dark side of transformational leadership several times. And the point is that there is a risk that if we are too smart, too charismatic, too clever, too perfect as leaders, we can cannibalize, kind of suffocate followers' potential. We have to be careful, because we should give them the possibility to breathe and express themselves. And sometimes, as I said, the leaders can fall in love with themselves, and they can kind of really believe in how good they are, and this will also have might have negative consequences. And so the antidote to that is humility. And the determination to have followers on their own competencies and responsibility. Because if we think about, for instance, Adolf Hitler, along with many other leaders of this kind, he could, on most accounts, be classified as a transformational leader, because of course he transformed the way of way of thinking of people. But that's why what I propose here is this statement, which is all about humility, because real leaders never take credit. They set up the conditions for employees to achieve what they have to achieve, and then the employees, the team, perhaps they will acknowledge that the leader enabled them to do that. But I was very happy when this happened to me a couple of months ago. I had big problems in my team. There were some people, they simply couldn't, they didn't get along very well, and the team meeting became so painful that at some point I decided to stop them for a while to build a better communication climate with the people, and then try to facilitate people to talk with each other, hoping that at some point they would come back to me asking me to resume these team meetings, which happened eventually. It took 1 year, but then we got it. And I'm happy because they feel that they did it. They wanted to resume these team meetings. It was not me. I was just trying to establish the conditions for this to happen. This is what I mean. And I realize that I'm running out of time, so I will try to hurry up. Again, about this dark side of leadership, we have a description here of two typical patterns of behavior that are not very constructive: dependence or counter-dependence. In the first case, we tend to get, as I said, when our boss kind of cannibalize our potential, and we feel kind of paralyzed. In the counter-dependence is that, in principle, the boss is always wrong, is getting in my feet, and it is destroying everything. Here I wanted to quote this sentence, which I find very effective to that. We have to remember that even bosses are imperfect as everybody else. So sometimes we have a problem that we idolize our boss and we expect perfection, and in some other cases we just tend to think that it is just all a disaster. So what is the solution? Here we have a checklist, which is basically about once again being a leader upwards. So what I told you about trying to understand what are the values, what are the priorities of your people, try to do the same try to do the same upwards. So try to understand why the boss is behaving that way or is making that decisions. And here is a checklist that you might find useful on a daily basis. And here is another list about networked forms of organization, like joint venture, for instance. This is a challenge for leaders, because so far we've been talking about leadership in a team, but when it comes to cross-boundary working, and like for instance, the European Commission and European Investment Bank, two totally different organizations, different values, different mission, different ethos at work, and there is, there are sometimes boundary spanning multidisciplinary teams are established, and you need to deliver. And so leadership roles are subject to even more negotiations than in vertically line-managed organizations. So again, this is a checklist that refer to many of the aspects that we have seen so far. Talking about teams and team development, I just want to show you this. This is the classic model of team development. So the 4 phases from forming to performing, going through storming, and when the team has to manage conflict, and then there is an effort to consolidation and become a mature team. Now, if we take this model, we try to apply what we have seen so far in leadership. It might look something like this, but of course, I would invite you to do your own homework. I tried to put in each of those phases how a leader what the transformational leader should do in each of these phases, how the transformational leader can help this process happen more fast and more effectively. And I mentioned in the storming phase of team building conflict. Issues of organizational culture, power, authority, all these things have potential to cause conflict if they are not addressed properly. We can have conflict for a number of reasons, misunderstandings, or difference in values, beliefs, or for competition. People compete for position, status, resources. Or sometimes simply people don't cope well with interpersonal differences. This was my case in my team. There was personality clashes, and the thing is that on people's feelings and emotions can generate conflicts, and this sometimes people lose sense of proportion about the matter in hand. And the conflict can escalate. So, as we see here, as long as the sea is calm, everybody can look like a good leader. And again, if we look at a classic model of conflict behavior, there are these five behaviors, with forcing that represent the need to satisfy your own needs at the expense of others' needs. This might involve the use of formal authority. But formal authority is not necessarily leadership, right? Forcing people, that is not leadership as we mean as transformational leaders. We use formal authority, or even in some cases physical threats, and this form of conflict results in hostility and resentment in terms of on the receiving end, of course. And accommodating in contrast is satisfies the need of the other person, and then of course avoiding is a common response to confrontation, lose, creating frustration and tension, and because issues are not resolved. You can compromise, because you seek to obtain this partial satisfaction from both parties. And the truly win-win is, of course, collaborating, when you seek to find solutions that are understood, appreciated by all parties. But again, if we look at this model from the point of view of leadership, how this model might look like. Again, this is my proposition, but of course it doesn't. Forcing. Leader here needs to use formal authority, transactional style, just tell. Of course, there is a risk of established counter-dependence relationship. There is a risk. And the behavior of the leader, the features is determination, self-confidence, decisiveness. So I tried to put in this slide all these behaviors that I've been talking about so far. And again, I leave this to your consideration. And finally, motivation. Motivation. There are so many models and concepts and framework about motivation. The Maslow pyramid, which was not even a pyramid in the beginning. The core job dimensions model, the open communication, the expectancy theory, the two-factor theory, and so forth. Now, all these models, what are the common factors for a leader from the leadership point of view? I try to summarize in 5 points. Again, most of them I covered already, but what I really wanted to say in conclusion is that leaders are human, and they act, real leaders are human, and they act if they know it, because it's a human dimension that inspires, not authority. Thank you very much. I think, Janet, if there are any questions?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. Mark asked a question from earlier on. Often in large organisations, managers see their positional power as earned. How will they react to this concept of leadership if their position is important to them? Now, I think he's talking about leadership as a process and sort of being inclusive and sort of giving up the power. So I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay. I'm not sure that I understood the question, but what I think we are very much into this context where sometimes a position of authority is considered as kind of a symbol of status by the leader, and now I don't know if I took the question properly, but I think that again, in order to make it right here and choose the right course of action, you have to remember that about humility. So inclusiveness. That was a key word in the question. Inclusiveness, and inclusiveness is here when you allow people to express their potential, and you are not jealous of your authority, because it is really like a pyramid. People at the bottom of the pyramid, if they believe in the direction, they will never put the leader in a position of weakness. On the contrary, they will contribute to this win-win course of action.
Thank you, Carlo. Yes, I think I understand you totally. It's interesting that I'm doing a course at the moment, and the chapter I'm on at the moment is about leadership. We've had to, in our tutor group forum, compare different leaders we've had. And there's a couple of people on the forum who've actually said that the directive leader who's just been quite hard but told them exactly what they want, and they've actually thrived under them. So I think it's interesting that some people do react fairly well to that sort of leader. Personally, I prefer a more inclusive leader, but that's just me. We have got another question. Maurice has asked how you would describe the roles of a manager and leader in a matrix structure.
That's very good. Thank you very much. I love this, because actually this allows me to talk about 360-degree leadership, where actually we are a leader in matrix. When organization is organized in a matrix, as a matrix, we can realize that vision, initiative, innovation are not just preserved of people at the top. Because environment is getting more and more competitive, and many organizations need to encourage innovation, initiative at all levels. We need every possible grain of mental energy wherever it is in order to be stronger. And so for those in the middle level of the organization, it's not enough to lead their direct subordinates, because to make things happen, they need to get consensus, support from people at all levels. And it is not just up and down, it's also right and left, where you know, it's all direction. So these mean all these concepts, or most of the concept of leadership we explored tonight, have to be exercised in multiple directions. So downwards, because you enlist support from direct subordinates; laterally, from peers in other departments, because you need their help in order to make the difference, and even across boundaries into other organizations, and of course upwards, because to have to gain your boss consensus. So absolutely, this is, but fortunately, as I said, most of the concepts that we explored tonight are also applicable in a matrix organization.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlo. I think we're almost out of time now, and so it just remains for me to say thank you very much for the presentation. I personally found it extremely interesting, especially after my revelation that I'm doing leadership at the moment. And I'd just like to say to everybody, thank you for joining us so close to Christmas. I really do appreciate you being here tonight. Morris has said thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the new year, and I hope you all have a very happy Christmas break, and we look forward to seeing you in January. So thank you all, and good night.
Good night, thank you.